Hey guys, welcome to the adventures. So today's topic, I'm going to continue with time, and it's going to be how do you know what time zone to operate in while you're over the road. It can be really confusing, honestly, when you're over the road, and what I have found over the years is that many of you, including we used to, chase the clock, which ends up being like you chasing your tail, kind of like a dog just running in circles, and it never works out well. And everything that we talked about last week about your time and organization, all of that goes right out the window if you are constantly chasing the clock. And so I highly recommend, I'm going to use what time works best for us, and then give you a few other that may help you determine what would work best for you. So we live on the East Coast, and we are home every single weekend. And hold on, guys, little one would like to make an appearance and say hello. Here she is, the little Willow. She's starting to like being a YouTube star, guys. She's enjoying it. Anyways, so we are home every weekend, and we also are always been very community mindset, and that means we have to have a lot of different phone calls back home and things like that. So working off East Coast time. So how do we do that? We actually just set our radio clock to East Coast time, and we never change it. And so while we need to see what time it is when we're over the road and we're not in East Coast time, we always refer to the radio when it goes to when we're going to eat, when we're going to sleep, when we're going to shower, all of the schedule things that I have talked about on what makes it better and what makes it best success with your schedule. We just set our clock for the radio, and that's the time we reference to. But that's not going to be helpful if you stay on the East Coast clock and you have to deliver on the West Coast. But that's when we use our phone. So when you go across the time zones and the time changes, your phone will automatically update. And so that's what we reference. And also, if you have the trucker GPSs, whenever you set that GPS, it's set to whatever time zone you're driving into. So you can reference your time in doing the calculations, because that's when you need to deliver. That's when you're going to get there. There is different time zones, and depending on where you are, you could be 3-hour time difference. So from coast to coast, there is a 3-hour time difference. So it definitely can get really confusing. But stick to one clock when it comes to your schedule. So since we're on the East Coast, that's what works best for us. And your phone will automatically update when you go to that time zone, which can lead to a problem when it comes to your sleep schedule. If you're using your cell phone for your alarm clock and it's changing the different time zone, then it's going to probably wake you up at the wrong time. So what I do is I actually just use a timer. So I know I'm always going to go to bed around with 8 to 9 hours of sleep. And so I set a timer knowing what time zone I'm going to and what time I really need to wake up, and just use a timer. It makes it easier. But another thing you can do, you can use your cell phone and you can change the time zone, so that way your phone will go off in that time zone when you want to wake up. If you don't want to change the clock every day and every time you pass a zone, I just suggest using a timer. But maybe you don't really go home every weekend and you're truly over the road for 2, 3, 4 months at a time, and that doesn't really apply to you. Then I really recommend just going off of like Central Time or whatever your dispatch is going off of, because they're the ones that are going to be running your central clock and where they're basing their time zone off of, and when their dispatch is going to be open, when they're available to help you, all of those things. And that way, if you're also using Central Time, it kind of, when you're going back East Coast, West Coast, it's going to kind of not divert your time near as much. Because I have to admit, when you're going coast to coast and I have to go to bed at 6 o'clock and I'm on the West Coast, really, it's much earlier their time. So I'm going to bed and the sun is nowhere near setting. And you just really got to be stern with yourself, really stick to that schedule, because in the long run, it's a consistency over time that's going to build your success. So if you're chasing different clocks, you don't have a set schedule, routine, you have no organization, then the likelihood of you making it more than 3 years of being on the road is really, really low. And if you don't start to do some of these things that we talk about often and streamline some of them, then probably you're not going to make it past your first year. So this is just real information, statistics, and studies that prove this. If you don't believe me, you can look it up. But we really want to give you the best opportunity to the best success, so that trucking can really work for you as well and get you further in life and help you live out your best life. So yeah, you guys check out those other videos. I'll link them below about organizing your time management, your schedule, creating a sleep routine, all of those things. It will really make a huge impact. Small things over time really have great success. You guys stay safe and enjoy the adventures. Bye.